Hi guys, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Sinead Says podcast. We have a solo episode for you today. The solo episodes do really well, so I thought I'd plan another one, and I thought, what better one to do than to do finding oneself and finding purpose. I don't really like finding purpose. I don't like that word because I don't want people to think like you need to like leave your job and find your purpose. Like, but you can find purposeful work, or you can find purpose in your life and in work, and it can help your mental health so much. So that is sort of what we're going for today. And I also want to apologize because it is the day before my brother's wedding. My mother is up to high dough. She is running around this house like I don't know what. So I've been waiting for her to finish hoover every corner of this house, even though it was hoovered yesterday. But anyway, it's funny to watch. But she's away to the shop now, and when she comes back, I'm going to pour her a massive glass of gin because that girl needs it. She needs it more than anyone right now. So please excuse if you hear rattling. Actually, if you hear cows, you might hear some cows today as well. So today I want to talk about finding yourself and finding purpose, because a lot of people are like, I don't know myself, I don't know what my purpose is, and like I don't want you to stress about that, because finding your purpose or finding yourself is not just, I wish I could tell you that it is literally like one day you'll just like be like ding, okay, this is my purpose. But in fact, it's not about that at all. It's literally about going through life, gathering your experiences, trying to find meaning from them, and really finding like, why these things happen to you in life. Like, I know as well that anybody that's living purposely, for me, is usually someone who's living out something they've went through, and then they're helping those people because they're literally talking to them, their like before selves. And like for me, definitely, I am talking to myself 7 years ago, because I had no idea what was going on. I had no tools. I didn't know anything about self-development. I didn't know anything about relationships. I didn't know anything about myself. I had no sense of self. So I'm essentially talking to myself, a few years ago. So this is like where you begin, because you find out your purposes. And like, I went through really bad like heartbreak, and I had really bad mental health for a while, and I just want to be that person now that like guides you. Because there was words I remember like walking down the street and like listening to like, I wasn't listening to podcasts those times, I was listening to YouTubes and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, like random little aha moments. And then aha moments like, kept me going, kept me on the straight and narrow, kept me motivated. And then like now I want to be that person for you guys, and I hope that I can at least bring some from any of my podcasts, bring some sort of like aha moment. Another thing, anytime I like interview a therapist or anything like that, I'm like, okay, what is the biggest issue with relationships or people, or what is the biggest issue? And it's definitely, and especially in my inbox as well, it's the lack of sense of self of young people, girls and boys, because if you don't know yourself, you're usually like codependent on another person, another partner. So your worth is like how they love you, and you are like clinging to them, and you're clinging to like what other people think you should be doing. So you don't know yourself. So then how can you find your purpose, find your work, if you're like doing what everyone else is saying, or like changing yourself for somebody else to love you? So like you don't want to lose yourself there. So yeah, let's get into it. First I want to talk about our sponsor, BetterHelp. So obviously therapy is a massive reason of how I completely know myself. And that is the reason why I went to therapy in the first place, to really get to know myself and get to know my triggers, so that I can fulfill my full potential in everything, life, work. And I feel like that is like the one, like getting my self-worth and knowing myself through therapy it was just like a massive breakthrough for me in like my success and my business and everything, because you build so much resilience in therapy that like when you know yourself through and through, you're like literally ready to take on the world, because you're like, are you going to say something about me? I don't care. I know myself. I know I'm like that. What are you going to say? I know that's what I like. So if you're saying that you don't like that, that's your fault. I'm not going to change what I like, on my opinion, for like you. So it's very, very good in terms of like building resilience. So you can get 10% off with my discount code, which is betterhelp.com/Sinead. That is betterhelp.com/Sinead for a 10% off your first month. Send in your reviews, and yeah, let's get into finding purpose. So the reason I want to do this podcast today is because I was on stage at IFS. Oh my God, I was on my vision board, obsessed with it. And I was on stage and they were asking tools to deal with mental health, or like what is, and you know what, like I could have said meditation, I could have said journaling, I could have said all those things for, you know, tools to keep yourself on high or in good mental health. But I said knowing yourself is probably one of the best tools for anxiety, because once you know yourself, like you can build that resilience against other people's opinions of you instead of like losing yourself. So that's why I was like, okay, you know, I need to like get a podcast out there about like how to get to know yourself and, you know, how to just find more purposeful work. And so like, how do you describe purpose or like knowing yourself, or, you know, how do you get to know yourself? And I believe like your purpose is like, we have a bit of a uniqueness and it's inscribed in certain ways, like your one of a kind DNA, the particular way our brains are wired, and just our individual experiences that are like no other. Like, you know, you can have two identical twins, but yet they have completely different life experiences. So, you know, everyone's purpose is individual and different, and everyone has different likes and dislikes. Like, how can we really explain, you know, why do I like one music and you like another? Do you know what I mean? It's like we have something wired in us that makes us individual, and then like we're conditioned really to like finish school and slide into like automatic job society, you know, good stable job that, you know, we always wanted. But like I find that a lot of people, especially in my inbox, you know, down the road, they find like boredom in work and they disengage a little bit, and then it just becomes like a job to pay the bills. Some call it like a midlife crisis, and then like what people do to like manage their frustrations as the years go by is they just like, you know, they experience sort of pain and like lostness, and they can't really repress it. And it's just because sometimes it can become generally and like we're unaware that there is like a lack of purpose or true direction in our life. And you know, you might get that feeling like a little twinge. Like there were so many twinges I had in different careers that I had. I was like, oh, I feel it. Like you just some way feel it in your chest a wee bit, don't you? And you're like, okay, something doesn't seem right. And I think that's the lack of purpose. And this always turns into, you know, when you're living like that and you're feeling like you don't have any purpose, you don't have any direction, we can become really insecure and envious, and we just become aware of the lack of direction in our lives. And then we start to feel envious. And, you know, we start snapping at people and being annoyed at people living their life. And, you know, our ego is really brittle. It's very, you know, if someone said something, you'd snap. It just becomes like you become very defensive of yourself. I don't know if anyone's recognizing themselves in this, but sometimes like recognizing this, like when I started to recognize this, you know, when I was going through this, I was like getting really jealous of people and like not really understanding why. And then I was like, okay, I just need a sense of direction and a bit of purpose. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, you quit your job and like go travel the world, and like you can just find purposeful stuff to do. Like I know something so small to me is like going to see my granny and granda. I always bring my granny a bunch of flowers every week, and I give my it's so hard to get your grandson. I get my granda his favourite sip takeaway, because he never like doesn't go out for lunch too much anymore, and we used to go out for lunch. So like that, something so small like gives you purpose. And like these little things, I know this is just like a small example, but I just didn't want you to be like, oh my god, like quit your job if you're feeling like that. Like it's just about finding that little bit of purpose and that little bit of direction in your life. And like we do sort of need this, because we all here believe that there is a purpose and there's a meaning in life, and we do believe there is something bigger and there's something larger, and we crave significance in this world. Believe it or not, we do crave being significant, and without this significance, sometimes we can feel like empty. The thing is, when we're a bit older now, don't know what age any of you are, there's a lot of you listening here today, but when we get older, it's harder to connect to our uniqueness, because when we were a child, like we had no judgment, we had nobody telling us which way to go, we had no society telling us, you know, get a job, be normal, do all this stuff. Like we just did what we wanted. We just had all these like primal instincts to just do what we wanted. Like, you know, when you were younger, you would have sang, you would have danced, you wouldn't have cared what anyone thought. Like whilst now I can barely get up and do the bloody prayers of the faithful at my brother's wedding. I can't do it, actually. I said no. So it's like we are so, back when we were a child, it was so easier to connect to our uniqueness. And that's a bit of the steps I'll show you later on how to, like, you know, step into your uniqueness. But, you know, it was easier for us, and now we're a wee bit older and we've got a lot of judgment on us, and we have to get past all that to find who we are. So yeah. Okay, so let's just say you start engaging then with like, you know, your guidance system, and you start to like listen to your intuition, and you start to go forward. Maybe you start a business or you do something on the side, like women's circles, anything like that. Those negative emotions then that plagued us are sort of neutralized, and we sort of turn them into positive emotions. Then we can be like, okay, that came up because I needed to change this and change that. And even like when you are learning a new skill, like for example, like me, whenever I start a business, like I needed to do a website, like learning all website stuff. See all the business shit, guys. Oh my God, I hate it. But like, because I know it's in my calling, I need to do it. Learning the knowledge and skills for my calling. It may be boring, but the reward is so sweet. So that negative goes into a positive when you're living in your purpose. So you're not like, like feeling this drain, and we're learning something that like excites us, and our mind gets really absorbed in the work, and we're just sort of like less distracted. And like when you start to find what you like and what you love, you can become really absorbed, and you start being in this like flow state, and you'll notice it. Even like I would say watch out for this now. Like for example, you may listen to Lucy Lord's podcast where she says that she just feels complete flow when she's cooking, and little signs like that. Like I'm in complete flow when I'm writing like my motivational emails, or even when I'm sitting here doing this podcast, like I'm in flow. I don't think about anything outside the world apart from like what I'm saying right now. And those are things you need to watch out for. Like say for example, you may go play tennis and you're absorbed in that tennis, or you may go, you know, even helping people, like something as like when someone's giving you a problem and you're helping them, like you're like, oh my God, I'm actually really absorbed in this moment. I love helping people. Those little things are like little inclinations that you're engaged in, like your uniqueness. And when we have like a sense of purpose or a sense of self, we actually become less insecure. And like we just don't care what other people think of us, because we're driven and happy in the work that we do. Because, you know, I get so much shit all the time for like loads of stuff, but because I'm so passionate and so into it, everything seems like it doesn't matter, because I'm so engaged and I'm so into it, and it's like my purpose. And then we focus work on work itself. Like I could work all day. Like I don't even see this as work, me sitting here, even though it is for me, but I'm so engaged and focused, it barely feels like work, but it does sometimes. You know what I mean? Then we focus more on the work itself rather than what people think of us. Because when you're actually living in yourself and you know yourself very well, and you're doing like purposeful work and you feel good about it, it does not matter what people think of you. Trust me. I get it all day, every day. Literally all day, every day about, you know, this and that. But I'm like, no, I am meant to be here. I know it. I feel it in my bones. I literally, when I'm in this sort of work that I'm doing, I don't feel those anxious thoughts that I felt when I was working in the bar, when I was working in HR. You know, I feel I'm like so resilient to like what people are saying, even though like nobody said nothing about me when I was working in the bar or HR, or like, do you know what I mean? When you get to this point where you're feeling like purposeful and you know yourself, you know, times you don't get anxiety for just no reason. You get anxiety because you're shifting. Like even things like when I'm not meditating, I will feel anxious. And I'm feeling anxious for a reason, because I know I should be meditating. Or say I'm like off work, or I'm like maybe drinking too much or doing something, I will feel anxiety. And I don't feel anxiety for no reason. I feel anxiety because I am unaligned with what I'm supposed to do. And that's good. It's okay. It's okay to fall off the wagon and go into your lower self the odd time, as long as you know what your higher self is capable of, and you can pick yourself right back up. Because yeah, like that's what I mean. Like you start to use your anxiety as like a tool. You're like, oh my God, okay, feeling a bit like today I'm feeling a little bit high stressed because I haven't meditated today. I know I had loads of shit done. Mum was on my case about getting out of the house. So I'm like, you know, I'm panicking. And then I'm like, okay, no, I haven't meditated today. And that's an action signal. I don't say, oh my God, I've just got anxiety. I use it. I'm like, okay, Sinead, when you finish this podcast, go sit yourself down on your meditation chair. Don't mess anything up, because Mum will go mad. And relax. Take a breath. I'm going to take a breath now, because I'm hyped up. Let's go back down to reality. Yeah, I'm engaged in my work, guys. Sorry. So yeah, so that you don't feel sorry for yourself anymore. You're out of the victim mentality. You know what you're meant to be doing, and you can use your anxiety as a tool. And then when you have this sense of direction or self purpose, you're less prone to the victim mode, of course, because we become lifted and excited, because we have a mission and we're realizing our life's work, and we're contributing to something much larger than ourselves. And this sort of drives us, and we have these moments of fulfillment. So, you know, these times where high stress comes, or like these crazy things, we know we have a mission. So you're less prone to having like, you know, depression and mental health, because you know you're on this sort of mission. So, but question is, how do we find it? How do we find ourselves? How do we find our purpose? And I'm going to go through some strategies now that I've discovered. Okay, the first step that I would say to finding yourself and finding purpose is going back to your childhood. There were so many courses I did on finding purpose and like stuff like that. And the number one thing was going back and examining your childhood. That's why it's so good to keep journals and diaries as well. Like I went back to my diaries. I went back to my school, the things I wrote in school. Like, and it was like, what did I love? What did I really, really love? There's so many things that I loved. And one of them was, you all know that I played Gaelic for a long time. And when I played Gaelic, I'm not the best footballer. I'm not the best Gaelic. I never was. But what I could do and what I loved was I was captain of that team. And when it came to motivating people, you put me there. I was loving my life. I was buzzing. Really shit there. Like really shit actually probably like playing like compared to everyone else. But like I could hype. I could say a speech. I was the person saying it. And I remember everyone cringing at me. But I knew, I was like, that's a vibe for me. And when I look back at that, I'm like, okay, I didn't even like the football. I like the team sport. I did like it as well. But like one of my things is like motivating people and like getting people hyped up. And when I look back, I always was the person that was like turning positive thoughts, like turning negatives into positives. I would always, look at someone else's life and be like, okay, no, I am lucky to have this life and blah, blah. I always was good, like turning people's minds around. And then like, my friends came to me for advice all the time. I was the person people came to advice, and I would be engaged in giving that advice. I would be engaged to helping people. And those are the things that like, I was like, okay, right. I like to help people. And there's other little things that see when you look back at your old diaries. It's so funny. Another thing I used to love is I used to be very, very, very confident when I was younger. People used to call me big-headed, like because I would have confidence. I remember being called big-headed, and they would call me big-head. But then I dulled that all down because like society and culture and school was like, that's not accepted to actually love yourself. So when I look back at it, I'm like, I was actually just like so into self-love, acceptance. And then next thing it was just like, boom, Sinead, that's not accepted in society to be that confident, like you can't be like that. And next thing I know, I was like repressed and just, I just didn't do the things that I used to. I used to sing, dance, get up, sing karaoke, not a baller. You wouldn't see me get up, sing fucking karaoke now. No, I would. There's one song only. Shania Twain. Man, I feel like a woman. You give me that mic and I am there. Or we all know what my guilty pleasure is. You're so vain. Oh my God, how fitting. You're so sorry, guys. Oh my God. So yeah, that if you look back at your childhood and just really examine the things that you loved, like maybe you liked organizing, maybe you liked cleaning your little kitchen, maybe you liked painting. There's so many things. So that's like a little task. So for your journal, so examine your childhood today in your journal. Try to remember what made you feel good. Like it could have been helping your friends, painting, creativity, arts and crafts. Maybe you love to dance or just put people in order or just organize people, like in school, and you would like be the person that would like create the teams and stuff. So just take time today to like go through that and just like try to follow the fire in your tummy and bring things back. And like, I'm not asking you to like make a career out of this. Like, I'm just asking you to discover what you like so you can do more of that in your life. Like, I love self-love. I love connections, relationships. So what I did, I started to recognize this years ago when I was doing purpose stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do women's circles. So I did women's circles for free. Like I did them for charity. I did them for like the homeless people. I used to do it and be like, guys, donate whatever. I'm just going to give to these homeless people outside. This is what I used to do because I knew that like I needed purpose in my life because I felt a bit anxious sometimes. And even now I feel a bit anxious. I'm still waiting on my course to come out, and I know that like when it comes out, I'm going to be feeling so purposeful, like because I'm going to be in classes with everyone. It's going to be so fun. So yeah, like you don't have to like make a career out of this. Like if you think, say for example, when you're younger and you love painting, what do? You have to go take a painting class. These things will just help you in life and just help you, with anxiety or mental health, or just, like get excited about finding out who you were as a child. And then, I always say as well, one of my things about purpose is do it for free until you get a fee. I did everything for free. I did, I spoke on my Instagram. I did all that stuff. I did my women's circles. I did all that. And like now, then I ran Shine Online, which was like an online course, and that was meditation. I got paid for that, and that was amazing because I did so much. Also, I wouldn't have been able to charge people straight away because I was so nervous and I needed that time to get feedback from other people. So do it for free until you get a fee. And the next thing I have to say is, guys, how do we serve our higher self, like really? And the best advice for this is don't listen to other people's opinions telling you what you should and shouldn't do. As a kid, like, you know, as I told you, I was very confident. I was singing and dancing, and then, like, you know, silenced it. And now it's my purpose to, you know, be very confident and stuff like that. So try not to let society silence you, and try to understand that, like, this is for you, it's not for them. And like, everyone has their own individual purpose. Like, you know, your purpose could be like baking, or, you know, it doesn't have to be, oh god, there's Larry Granta, he's coming up, sorry guys, he's so cute, I'm obsessed with him. Oh, okay, back, sorry. So, oh my god, should I get him on? No, should I just get the podcast done and then go talk to you? Then the next thing is, you really need to begin investigating your thoughts. Like, be your own Sherlock Holmes. Like, every day in your journal, if you feel good about something, please write it down, because when you write it down, it really, really strengthens it. So I started to, like, when I was finding my purpose, I was in the middle of the fitness game. I was a PT, and I was like, okay, what do I love? What do I not love? I loved helping people better themselves. But what I didn't love is, I didn't love telling people to change their bodies. I wanted people to accept their bodies. So I was starting to figure it out. I was writing in my journal. I was like, okay, I don't want people to change their bodies. I want people to accept and love their bodies. And, you know, like, I just knew. So I was writing down every day. I was okay, need to change this. Then I started reading books. Then I found out how to make, oh, hello, Granda. Granda, come on in. Guys, can you do? Granda's here. Say hello.
Hello.
You're so cute. Have you anything to say? No. I'll be out now. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys, but, you know, Granda comes first. Like, he's so cute. I can't cope. I've had a wee cup of tea with him. But we're back. Can't really remember where I'm at, but I'm just going to go with it. Another thing I would say is, what comes easy to you? I'm going to ask you a few questions as well in this podcast, and you'll probably want to write them down for your journal. But, like, think about what comes easy to you. Like, it comes easy to me sitting here right now and having this conversation with you. I've no notes. When I first started the podcast, I was like planning them to a T. Now they just roll off me. I just come in and just be like a few key points and just keep rocking with it. So think about what comes natural to you, like things that, you know, maybe talking in public could come easy to you, but maybe, you know, cooking comes easy to you, or just creativeness and like thinking of different ideas. And, you know, like my VA, like what comes easy to her is design. She loves designing things on Canva and stuff like that. And I'm just like, that, you know, like that comes easier. Whilst that doesn't come easy to me, guys. So design and creativity wouldn't be my buzz, but speaking and what comes easy to me is like reading something very complicated and breaking it down into like terms that can relate to a younger audience. That comes very easy to me, and I can see life experiences and like twist them and make them able for you guys to understand better. That's something that comes easy to me. So you have to realize that you have to just break away from other people's voices and sort of listen to your own unique guidance, because everyone has their own uniqueness. So you don't have to be one thing. You know, for me, I'm not good at like organization and stuff like that, so I have to hire someone in organization to like do all my stuff and then like do my time and my schedule and stuff, because that's not for me. Probably comes easy to them. So you can find out what you just got to stop listening to other people and like going in that direction and finding your own unique self, because it really is in your soul. So tune in and listen to it, and like realize that your mind is now your own personal workshop. And just use every opportunity they've ever had and experience as like a tool to create your dream life. So I can say now, you know, I live in the country, right? I've lived in the city. I've lived in, you know, tropical. I've lived in, you know, Asia. I've lived in Australia. And I know now that the country isn't really for me. I'm kind of a bit of a city girl. I like being around loads of people all the time where there's like loads of hype and stuff. So, and then there's some people that like really like the peace and quiet. So your life experiences, I could sit here and be like, oh my God, why am I at home? And I'm like, well, when I'm at home, I actually realize how much I want to be around the city and be around people. So use everything to your own advantage to design your dream life, even your past relationships. You could be like, okay, now I need to find someone who likes the things that I like, because this is exactly what I like. Like, I've used all my past relationships to now mold the perfect relationship for me. And now that I actually know myself, so I know myself, I know that I can't really be in like one place. I like to have new experiences, and this is something that is like a deal breaker for me. No matter how much I love, you know, my partner, if he didn't want to do things that I did, and we've had many of conversations where, you know, I'm like, look, if this isn't for you, then, you know, as much as we love each other, like, you know, that can't work, because I know myself. So if I changed myself and like tried to be like, right, no, I'm going to live here with you and we're going to, get around, have kids, like that would just be me resenting him and I'd be unhappy and then our relationship would be like torn. So me knowing myself makes my relationships better because I'm like, look, this is what I like. If you don't like it, like we have to think about something else and we would be okay with that. You can learn to love someone else, but finding yourself, especially as a lot of people say about, they're single at like whatever age. And I'm like, guys, the more older you are, the more you know yourself. The more you know yourself, the easier it is to like be in a relationship and find the right person for you. Because when you're starting out dating with someone, you can just be dating them and be like, no, I actually know that like this is not going to work because you work here and I work here and then I want this and you want that. So getting to know yourself will help your relationships as well as your just general life. And realizing that the things that you don't like rocket your desires for the things that you do like. So there's so many years where I remember my mom and dad always pressuring me to come back and use my degree, go to London, get an office job, work 9 to 5, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? And I was like, no, I want to work in a bar for the rest of my life. I just want to work in a bar. You're doing my head in. I want to work in a bar. The next thing, I work in a bar for 10 years. And then the last 3 years, I'm like, no. Don't like this anymore. Don't like the vibes. Feel like I've got more creative energy. Feel like I've got more potential. And those 10 years in that job rocketed my desires for something else. So I've took my experience and like created my dream life and been like, okay, I want to be around people. Yes, I love working in the bar because there's people, but I don't like, this aspect. I hated the way I couldn't eat at the time I wanted to eat. That really annoyed me. Oh, I'm so lucky that I can tell myself you can go eat now. I'm my own boss. But yeah, so that is another thing, like just using all your experiences in life to create your dream life. And people think like, why can't I find it? And I'm like, no, you need to go out there and experience everything. What you like and what you don't like will create your dream life. Like I think about all the places I've rented or all the places I've lived in my life. I thought I wanted this big house, lived in this big house recently. I was like, I don't need all this space. Then I think I want to I just live like this. I'm like, no, I need this. I need an office, or I need a bit more light. I need the lighting to be coming in this way. I need this in the apartment. So you find that you go and try all these things and then you figure it out. The next step is experiencing life experiences, just saying yes to everything, trying new things all the time. And there's just a little quote from the Laws of Human Nature for you. Experimenting with the skills and options related to your personality and inclinations is not only the single most essential step in developing a high sense of purpose, it is perhaps the most important step in life in general. Knowing in a deep way who you are, your uniqueness, will make it much easier to avoid all other pitfalls of human nature. So this is all about just experimenting with everything. Like, think of all things I've tried this year, like jiu-jitsu, surfing, and like just everything. I've been to like loads of different places. There's so much more I want to see, but there's things I didn't like, there's things I liked. Like there's certain things, and that's how you find out. And then say I'm out surfing and the next thing somebody's like doing something beside me, like some other random water sport, I'd be like, okay, let me try that. You could just go somewhere and you could find something else, could take you down a different path. And these things, you have to just say yes, like everything basically, and find out what's good for you. Because when you say yes, you might go down a different path and a different path. Like, think about me, I went down fitness, then was like, not really. Like, I do enjoy all that fitness stuff, but in terms of like my true purpose, like things like this really drive me, like doing podcasts and stuff. So that really drives me more. So I went down the fitness path, then, was getting followers because I was doing transformations and losing weight and helping people lose weight and blah, blah, blah. And, that led me then to believe that I wanted to just help people. I didn't want to help them lose weight. So then I went down the area of like, brave retreats and then motivational talks. And then, I went into therapy, and now I am like a meditation teacher, and like now I'm fully like, my purpose changes all the time, guys, by the way, and that's fine. Your purpose changes with all your life experiences. So I'm very passionate about meditation because it is the thing that saves me every single day. I can notice the difference when I don't meditate. So I try my best to preach that. So just experimenting with absolutely everything. And yeah, even it's like dating. Like when you date someone, you're like, you find out when you're like dating that this person, I don't like the way they do that, I don't like the way they do this, blah, blah, blah. And then when you're at like the 10th date, you're like, you know what you want by that stage. Like if you're gone through a few relationships and say your boyfriend goes out Friday, Saturday, which is not that bad for people that are young or whatever, but like say you're at a stage in your life like and you were going with someone who was going out all the time, you'd be like, no, you know what, that wasn't for me. And then when you're dating and he's like, oh, I go out all the time, and you notice, you're like, okay, no, that's not for me. And you just keep going and going and going until you find what's fucking perfect for you. So yeah, just keep trying, keep dating, keep keep swiping. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to say is the biggest thing for me for finding myself and who I was and what I was interested in: reading. I've said it time and time again, guys. Reading really changed my life, because you are reading and you will find yourself. You could be reading something you don't like, and that's fine. That book down, you don't want to read that, that's grand. But you could read something and there could be one sentence that go, and it would fire your tummy up. Like, I remember reading lots of neuroscience stuff and just getting so excited. I could feel it in my fingers, like I could feel it in my tummy. Anything to do with brains, anything to do with human behavior, anything to do with relationships or how to better yourself. I'm obsessed. And there's some people who could read, a love story and be like, oh my God, I love to make people feel loved. I would love to make people feel like this. There's so many different books that could spark your interest, and be reading one book and they could mention another book. Next thing I'd be like, have this whole book on like the cerebellum part of the brain, like, random shit that I absolutely love, and it fires up my tummy. So like now reading more and more and more and finding out more and more and more, like I can now do like a course in these things and keep going. So like just keep reading, guys, picking up books. When you feel a fire in your tummy, you'll know it. You'll just know it. You'll know that that's your vibe, and you'll see little sentences that you're like, oh my God, that's me. Like that's something so small, but like that is me. And then you'll start writing them down and journaling, and you'll just strengthen your sense of self, so that when rejection or anything like that comes your way, that you're like, no, I know who I am. So guys, pick up them bloody books. And now I think what I'm going to do is, another obviously good way is meditation. I don't like to push meditation because it's something that like you have to make the decision for, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you like how to meditate and like how to get the best out of it. I think guided meditations are the best for finding yourself, because you really close your eyes and you become still and you go inner and you ask yourself questions in guided meditations. So I'm going to just ask you questions that maybe I would ask in a meditation, maybe not, maybe. So I'm going to go through a few questions and I'm going to let you like think through them. Okay, questions for you to find yourself. What would you do if you knew nobody would judge you? Just think about that. If nobody could judge you, make fun of you, what would you do? You know what? I'm going to make a post on Instagram about that today. I think I'm going to do that. Okay. So, next question I'm going to ask you. Who do you admire most? Who are your role models? And why? Because the people you look up to, that drives your purpose. I seen people and they were my role models, like, like Tony Robbins and people like that. I used to always watch those people. And I was like, why am I so interested in all this? It's because I had a burning desire to motivate people myself. So yeah, go through that with yourself. Okay, let's just say someone sat down beside you right now and they were telling you what's coming next in your life. What would you think is too good to be true? Just think about that for a moment. Some of these questions are from the book 101 Essays That Change the Way You Think. Amazing book. There's a book for you to get you started, guys. And there was a question that goes, if you were to walk through your home and put your hand on every single thing that you own, how many of them would make you feel sincerely happy or at peace? And then why do you keep the rest? That one made me think. Now, what I would say as well to find yourself and to really become self-aware is like ask yourself what bothers you in other people. Tell you what bothers me in other people. And I notice it and I'm like, I can't have to stop being that person. I said this to my friend, Shauna, if you're listening to this. She's always complaining about her weight. And I've never seen a more fabulous body. And I'm like, Shauna, you know what? I want you to do. I want you to listen to other people that complain and tell them how you feel after that. It's not nice being around someone who complains. It doesn't feel good. It's something that bothers me in other people. So I try my best to never complain about my body, to never complain about anything like that in front of people, or just study other people and see what annoys you. because that will make you change your behavior. And also ask yourself, what is it that you love most in other people? Like, who do you like to be around? Who are the people you like to be around? Like, if they're positive, uplifting, people who want to run, who want to dance, who don't judge you. What I notice is, right, if I don't want to be around someone right now, that's not very often. I always want to be around most people. I'm very, very, like, always want to be around people. But when someone judges me for being me, like, I want to be around that. It's not very nice. So what do? I pull myself in and go, who am I judging? I need to stop that because it's not nice to be around. No one wants to be around that. So find out who you love to be around, because that's who you want to be, because you love to be around those people. Okay, now another one is, if you never had to work anymore, what would you do with your life? Like, what would you do with your day? What would you do? For me, it's like go surfing every day. And I'm like, why am I not going surfing every day? I can do that if I want. So that makes me feel like, oh, that makes me find myself, because I'm like, if I didn't have to work, I would just be at the beach all day and surfing. So what do? I align my values and I align my life on like being around the sea and stuff like that. So ask yourself that question. What would you do with your days if you didn't have to work? I do this often as well in my journal, just about like what I've accomplished so far. So what are your greatest accomplishments in like business, life, family, hobbies? So when you know your greatest and when you felt so fulfilled and good, you can write that down and be like, okay, let's strive for more of that. Let's go and try to get more of that. So I feel good when I do like live events, when I see people face to face. I'm like, okay, I know my greatest achievements was stand on stage. So I need to build my work towards that moment again. So like it like gives me direction and purpose in my work. So yeah, what are your greatest accomplishments? Okay, this is another question from that book, and it really shook me and it really made me get my shit together, I swear to God. So based on your daily routines that you're doing, let's just say for today or yesterday, if you're listening to this early, based on your daily routines, where will you be in 5 years? Where will you be in 10 years? Where will you be in 20 years? So when I listen to that question, I go, oh my God, I didn't go to the gym today, didn't meditate today, and I want to be an experienced meditator. I want to be good at life. I want my body to feel good. I want this. So I was like, you know what? I want to be this person. I need my daily routines to, align with that. So ever since I asked myself that question, wrote in my journal, I've just been going to the gym, been going walking, reading books, meditating. So that was a really nice question to ask as well. And then, what and who is worth suffering for? So I suffer through doing like websites. Like, I don't like doing bank stuff, tax stuff. I like writing, but I don't like copywriting. I don't like painting, like you looking at my website and be like, okay, how can I sell this program? So, all those things that I don't like are worth suffering for a meditation business or for, the business that I want in the future. So what is worth suffering for? Is your job worth suffering for? Who is worth suffering for? Like, are you willing to suffer for your partner, your friends, if you went through stuff? Just figure that out for you, and then that will bring you towards your purpose and yourself. And yeah, like those questions get in deep as well. And I do ask a lot of this in meditations. I try to get into the deep subconscious and get into who you really are, because we're so used to just watching people's content, not really looking inner and being still, asking for answers. Like, do you ever shut your eyes and go, okay, what is my purpose? And like, don't be surprised when you ask for purpose and then you get these weird emotions. It's so funny because people are like, oh, Sinead, I feel so, like, I don't want to go to work. I feel horrible. I hate it. I'm like, did you like ask the universe for purpose or something? Because your emotions are matching what it got asked. So your emotions are telling you, let's go. Let's see you later. This is not meant for you. You asked for purpose. I'm giving you this emotion. Knock, knock, knock. You shouldn't be here. Knock, knock, knock. And you keep ignoring it and you ignore it. And then the little feeling gets worse and worse. You've asked, the universe has given you, but are you taking action, or are you rejecting? Are you resisting? People are like, oh, I manifested, but like, I manifested and visualized. Like, where is it? And I'm like, there it is. There it is. It's telling you to do this. It's telling you to do that, and you're not listening. Because what? You're scared. You're scared of judgment. You're scared of taking a risk. You're just scared. So that's, you know what I mean? Like, that main question, the first one I asked you is, What would you do if you knew nobody would judge you? And then what would you do if you had all the money in the world? Like what? Like I would still do this, still do podcasts, I would still do women's circles, I would still do all this stuff. So it's not even about, like, I'm not here to tell you, like, go quit your job or do this. It's basically just finding what you like and, like, putting it even on the side of what you're doing, because you can even find purpose in the job that you're in. Like, I did 10 years working in a bar, but that job had so much purpose in terms of my people skills, in terms of, like, pushing me forward to find more in life, because I was so sick of working in a bar. I'm so sick of people telling me I couldn't eat. Honestly, why was that such a thing for me? I was just like, I hate the way that I can't have an apple right now. They'd be like, why are you eating an apple out the back? I'd be like, because I'm fucking hungry. I hated that so much. So you can find purpose in every day. And you've also got this, people, we're not here to fall into our impulses. Like, you know, sometimes we, which is fine, we fall into our impulses, we drink and we go out and we find this instant pleasure. Yeah, instant pleasure, when in fact we need to be finding this constant drip of purpose. But we get this constant pleasure, and that sort of like keeps us going and keeps us going. But when you have purpose, or you find purpose in your life, or you find yourself, you have this constant drip of like dopamine in your brain. It's so beautiful. And I just really want you to go and try and start. You should get really excited now. I want you to get really excited, because now it starts. Now we are going to find what we truly love. We're going to search within our childhood. We're going to search within our thoughts, our minds, our experiences. Get that journal out, guys, because we are going on a freaking journey. We're going on to design our dream life with our minds. That's what we're going to do. So I think I'm going to leave it there, because I don't know. My mum is going to actually, she's looking at me through the fucking glass window here. She's like, get out of my house so I can clean, even though it's spotless. So, guys, please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave me a review. I always give people books that leave a good review. So, don't forget to do that. And yeah, guys, enjoy finding yourself. And yeah, have a good week, guys.